In a fiery and controversial statement that has sent shockwaves through the political world, Donald Trump has publicly criticized what he calls the crazy and reckless use of U.S. missiles under current policies. Speaking to a packed rally in Florida, Trump didn't hold back, lambasting military leaders and the current administration for their handling of America's missile arsenal. "They're using our missiles like fireworks on the 4th of July," Trump declared, his voice booming through the venue. "Billions of dollars, taxpayer money, blown up on targets that mean nothing. It's crazy, folks. It's insane." According to Trump, the frequent deployment of missiles in international conflicts is depleting America's stockpile and weakening its military readiness. He accused the Pentagon of bowing to political pressures rather than prioritizing national security. "They're sending missiles everywhere, overseas, to places you've never heard of, for wars that don't even matter to us." Trump didn't stop there. He suggested that under his leadership, the U.S. missile strategy would be radically overhauled. "When I'm back in office," he said, to roaring applause, "we're going to use our missiles smartly, very smartly. Only when it matters. No more wasting billions to impress people who don't care about us." Critics, however, have pushed back against Trump's remarks, accusing him of oversimplifying complex military decisions. They argue that U.S. missile use is a vital component of global strategy and a deterrent against adversaries. "Missiles are not toys," one defense expert said, "but they're also not political props." Trump's rhetoric risks undermining trust in our military leadership. But Trump doubled down, claiming that the U.S. missile program is being mismanaged, and that American taxpayers deserve accountability. "We're being taken for a ride, folks," he said. "Our enemies are laughing at us. They're saying, 'Look at those Americans, wasting their power.' And they're right. It's time we showed them strength, not stupidity." The crowd erupted in chants of "USA! USA!" as Trump outlined his vision for a leaner, more focused military strategy. "We don't need to send missiles just to send a message," he said. "We need to send missiles when it counts, and believe me, we'll make them count." While Trump supporters praised his bold stance, his critics accused him of undermining U.S. alliances and ignoring the realities of modern warfare. "This isn't just about missiles," one analyst explained. "It's about maintaining global stability." Reckless comments like these could embolden adversaries who see division in our ranks. Trump, however, dismissed such concerns, arguing that America's current missile strategy lacks foresight and purpose. "We're not protecting America," he said. "We're playing games. When I'm president again, the games stop." As the debate over Trump's comments rages on, one thing is clear. His remarks have reignited a national conversation about military spending, international strategy, and America's role on the global stage. Will Trump's fiery critique lead to a shift in how the U.S. uses its missile arsenal, or will it simply add fuel to the partisan divide? Only time will tell, but one thing's for certain: Trump isn't afraid to speak his mind, no matter how controversial it may be. Trump's remarks have sent ripples through both domestic and international circles, with allies and adversaries alike weighing in on his fiery criticism. Some NATO officials privately expressed concern that Trump's comments could undermine the delicate balance of deterrence that has kept the alliance strong. "The U.S. missile arsenal is central to global security," one diplomat remarked, "and these comments only create confusion." However, Trump supporters argue that his bold critique is exactly what's needed to address what they see as wasteful and ineffective military practices. "He's calling out the establishment," said one rally attendee. "For too long, we've been sending weapons and money overseas with no accountability. Trump is the only one who's willing to say it out loud." In his speech, Trump singled out specific instances where he believes U.S. missiles were used irresponsibly. Though he did not provide details, he alluded to recent military actions in the Middle East and Eastern Europe, claiming they had little strategic value. "What did we get out of it?" he asked the crowd. "Nothing. Absolutely nothing." Critics of Trump's comments argue that such rhetoric oversimplifies complex geopolitical issues. Military experts have pointed out that missile strikes often serve as both a tactical and symbolic show of strength. "These operations send a message to our adversaries," one expert explained. "They're about more than just hitting a target. They're about maintaining order in an increasingly unstable world." Trump dismissed these arguments outright, calling them excuses for unnecessary spending. "They'll tell you it's about strategy," he said, "but it's really about contracts. It's about the military-industrial complex getting richer while you get poorer." The crowd roared in approval as Trump promised to hold military contractors accountable if re-elected. "No more blank checks," he said. We're going to look at every contract, every deal, and make sure it benefits the American people, not just a few insiders. As Trump's comments continue to dominate headlines, Democrats have seized on the controversy to criticize his foreign policy record. This is the same man who undermined our alliances and cozied up to dictators, one Democratic lawmaker said. Now he's pretending to care about military accountability? Give me a break. Republicans, meanwhile, are divided. While Trump's base remains fiercely loyal, some establishment Republicans have expressed discomfort with his critique of military leadership. Our armed forces deserve respect and support, one GOP senator said. These comments are unhelpful and damaging. International reactions to Trump's speech have been equally divided. In Europe, some leaders expressed frustration, while others acknowledged the need for greater oversight of U.S. military spending. It's true that American taxpayers bear a significant burden, one European diplomat said. But that burden also ensures global stability, something we all benefit from. In contrast, adversaries like Russia and China have seized on Trump's comments as evidence of internal discord within the United States. State media in both countries quickly picked up the story, framing it as proof of American decline and dysfunction. Trump, however, remains unfazed by the backlash. In a follow-up interview, he doubled down on his remarks, suggesting that even allies might need to start paying more for U.S. military protection. Why should we be footing the bill for everyone else, he asked. If they want our missiles, they can pay for them. Supporters argue that Trump's stance is a long overdue correction to decades of lopsided international agreements. America first means our military resources should be used to protect Americans, not subsidize the rest of the world, one political commentator said. Critics worry that such rhetoric could alienate key allies and embolden adversaries. Statements like these create uncertainty, a former Pentagon official warned. Our enemies thrive on uncertainty. It's the last thing we need right now. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump suggested that the U.S. should invest in new missile technologies rather than continuing to rely on what he called outdated systems. He proposed reallocating funds from current operations to research and development. We need missiles that are smarter, faster, and cheaper, he said. The technology exists, but the leadership doesn't. Some experts have cautiously agreed with this aspect of Trump's critique, acknowledging that the U.S. must adapt to emerging threats like hypersonic weapons. However, they stress that such investments should complement existing capabilities, not replace them. Meanwhile, Trump's comments have sparked heated debates on social media, with hashtags like #MissileMadness and #TrumpMissileCritique trending across platforms. Supporters praised his common-sense approach, while critics accused him of undermining U.S. credibility. As the controversy continues to unfold, political analysts are speculating about how Trump's remarks might affect his potential 2024 campaign. Some believe the speech could energize his base, while others worry it could alienate moderate voters who view his rhetoric as reckless. Trump's ability to dominate the news cycle with provocative statements is nothing new, but this latest controversy highlights the enduring polarization of American politics. While his supporters see him as a truth-teller challenging a broken system, his critics view him as a destabilizing force. As debates rage on cable news and in the halls of Congress, one question looms large. Could Trump's critique of U.S. missile use spark meaningful reform, or will it simply add to the growing divide in American politics? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Trump has once again forced the nation to confront uncomfortable questions about its priorities and values. Trump's fiery rhetoric has drawn sharp criticism from military leaders, who have largely remained silent on political matters in recent years. Retired generals and admirals have spoken out, warning that Trump's comments could undermine morale among U.S. troops and sow distrust between the military and civilian leadership. One retired general stated, "When political leaders make sweeping, uninformed criticisms of our strategies, it risks weakening the cohesion and trust that are essential to our national defense." This sentiment has been echoed across military circles, where Trump's remarks are being met with a mixture of frustration and disbelief. Despite the backlash, Trump has found support among a growing number of anti-establishment voices who see his critique as a necessary wake-up call. Some argue that the U.S. military has long operated with little oversight, wasting taxpayer dollars on unnecessary conflicts. At his rally, Trump elaborated on what he called the insanity of current missile use policies. "We're using missiles like they're toys," he said. "Every time there's a problem overseas, they fire off a missile. It's not strategy. It's stupidity." Critics have pointed out that missile strikes are often a key element of deterrence, designed to send a message to adversaries without committing ground troops. However, Trump dismissed this idea, calling it a lazy excuse for bad leadership. Trump also hinted at his plans for reform, suggesting that missile use should require direct presidential approval in most cases. "When I'm back in the White House," he said, "you better believe every missile fired will have a purpose, a plan, and my signature." This proposed policy has drawn mixed reactions. Some see it as a way to ensure accountability, while others warn it could bog down military operations and lead to delays in critical decisions. As the controversy unfolds, Trump's remarks have also reignited debates about the role of private defense contractors in shaping U.S. military strategy. Critics argue that the influence of these companies often prioritizes profit over national security. Trump, who has often railed against the so-called military-industrial complex, reiterated these concerns during his speech. "They don't care about America," he said. "They care about their bottom line. And they're laughing all the way to the bank while you pay the bill." Supporters of Trump's critique have praised his willingness to challenge powerful interests, arguing that his populist approach is what sets him apart from other politicians. "He's not afraid to take on the big guys," one supporter said. "That's why we love him." However, critics have accused Trump of hypocrisy, pointing to his administration's record of increasing defense budgets and approving lucrative contracts for major defense firms. "He talks a big game," one analyst said, "but his actions tell a different story." The international response to Trump's remarks has been particularly noteworthy. In China, state-run media describe his comments as evidence of a fractured and declining U.S. military. "America's reckless policies are finally catching up to them," one headline read. In Russia, officials seized on Trump's speech to bolster their own propaganda. Even former U.S. leaders acknowledged the failure of American military strategy, one Kremlin spokesperson said. "This proves that the U.S. is not the global power it once was." Meanwhile, Trump has continued to double down on his remarks, posting on social media that his critics don't understand strength. In a viral post, he wrote, "Strength isn't wasting billions on useless missile strikes. Strength is knowing when to hold back and when to strike with precision." His supporters have amplified this message, flooding social media with memes and hashtags in support of Trump's vision. One popular meme features Trump holding a giant missile with the caption, "The man with a plan." On the other side of the political spectrum, Democrats have used Trump's remarks as an opportunity to highlight what they see as his erratic leadership style. "This is the same man who said he knows more than the generals," one Democratic senator said. "He's proven time and again that he doesn't understand the complexities of military strategy." Despite the polarization, some analysts believe Trump's critique has touched on legitimate concerns. "There's no denying that U.S. military spending deserves scrutiny," one expert said. "But the way Trump is going about it risks oversimplifying the issue and alienating key allies." Within the Republican Party, the reaction to Trump's remarks has been mixed. While his loyal base remains steadfast, some establishment Republicans worry that his rhetoric could harm the party's image on national security. One GOP strategist remarked, "The Republican Party has long been seen as the party of strong defense. Trump's comments could jeopardize that reputation, especially among moderate voters." As the controversy continues to dominate headlines, some lawmakers have called for hearings to examine the issues raised by Trump's speech. "We need to take a hard look at how we're using our resources," one congressman said. "If there's waste or mismanagement, it's our duty to address it." Trump, however, has dismissed these calls as political theater, claiming that the establishment is trying to distract from the real issues. "They don't want change," he said. "They want the status quo because it makes them rich and keeps you poor." Public opinion polls show a sharp divide over Trump's remarks. While his base overwhelmingly supports his critique, independent voters are split, with many expressing concerns about the potential consequences of his proposed reforms. As the debate rages on, some are questioning whether Trump's comments are part of a larger strategy to position himself for a 2024 presidential run. "This is classic Trump," one analyst said. "He knows how to dominate the news cycle and keep the focus on him." Whether intentional or not, Trump's remarks have once again thrust him into the center of the national conversation. For better or worse, his critique of U.S. missile policy has sparked a debate that shows no signs of slowing down.